Hello there, and welcome to the Fish Tank Barn. Even though we talk a lot about live bears on this channel, there are some other fish that I enjoy. One of those types of fish are Lake Tanganykan Cihclids. I really just enjoy their bright coloration and very interesting behaviors. So let's go ahead and dive into the fish barn, and let me introduce you to all the Lake Tanganykan fish that I'm keeping. I want to start out with a tank, which I think is one of my favorites here in the fish barn. And that's my 55-gallon tank with my Cyprichromis leptosoma blue flash. I've had these fish for about 3 years or so, and this colony has really come along quite nicely. I added the crypts to this tank a couple of years ago, and they've really started to fill out. These fish have bred quite readily for me, and as you can see, there are a couple generations of fry swimming around the tank. The color of the Cyprichromis, along with their movements, coupled with the plants, really makes this tank one of my favorites here in the barn. Next, I'd like to move on to a 40 breeder that's home to one of my favorite fish in the aquarium hobby, the Neolamprologus similis. I really enjoy the behavior of these shell dwellers as they're constantly darting around the tank, rearranging the sand in their shells. This tank is never the same from day to day. You can see that these fish are really prolific breeders, and this is a fish that I will take on a regular basis to our local club auctions. I would highly recommend everyone keep a shell dweller tank at some point in their fish keeping career. These Cychlids macrops are a relatively recent addition to the fish barn, having picked them up in October at the Southwest Michigan Aquarium Society auction. Since I've had these fish, I have found them to be pretty interesting. They are extremely active and constantly dart around the tank. They've also been digging a little bit at the sand as well. The males are absolutely stunning with their bright red coloration. These are maternal mouth brooders, and I've already seen a holding female. This is definitely a fun little fish, and I really enjoy their constant movements. So let's go ahead and take a look now at my 75-gallon tank with my Cyprichromis leptosoma and Pibway blue neon. These fish are not as colorful as the leptosoma blue flash that we talked about earlier. I purchased 6 individuals of these fish in the spring of 2024, and unfortunately, the population dwindled down to 2 fish. Thankfully though, they were able to spawn, and now the offspring have really started to take off. Hopefully here in the next year or so, I can get another nice colony going, like the blue flash colony we saw earlier. I'm kind of a sucker for Cyprichromis, always enjoying their bright colors and constant movement. We now come to my second group of shell dwellers, the Neolamprologus multifasciatus. I recently located these fish from a 20-gallon high to a 40 breeder in hopes that the additional space will help them produce more fry. As you can see, they've settled in quite nicely. I've seen fry from this group in the past, so hopefully the change of scenery will be a good thing for this colony. Just like the similis, I really do enjoy the activity level and personality of these fish. So we now come to my 125-gallon tank that's home to my Tropheus morai Bird Malloreale. These fish were gifted to me by one of the members of my local club, Scott, whose fish room you saw a couple years ago. The males of this fish are really pretty with their red markings. I may need to add some more rock work to this tank to increase fry production, but this is a Tropheus species that I've really enjoyed having in the fish barn, and I'd really like to thank Scott for gifting them to me. So let's go ahead and take a look now at my mixed 150-gallon Lake Tanganykan tank. There are a few fish that I want to draw your attention to. This first fish is the Cychlids pelospirus flame rainbow. I only have a couple of these in here, but their behavior is similar to the Cychlids macrops that we spoke about earlier. I've had this fish for quite a long time, going on about 3 years or so, but unfortunately, I've never gotten it to breed. I also want to show you these Lamprologus ornatopenis. I do have an open sanded 20-gallon tank upstairs, so I might pull these 2 fish out and see if I can get them to breed. These fish are similar to the other shell dwellers that we've seen earlier in the video. You'll also find in here this Lamprologus compressiceps redfin. I've had this fish since it was a small fry, and as you can see, it's grown up to be quite a beautiful fish. Also swimming amongst the Vallisneria in this tank, you'll find the pair of Cyprichromis nigropinnis. I do have a couple of these as well, along with some singular Cyprichromis that have come from other tanks. So let's now go ahead and take a look at my 125-gallon tank that's home to my Tropheus Maplungu. I picked up these fish at the Triple Crown Convention back in 2022. I only started out with 3 individuals, which is not ideal for Tropheus. Thankfully those fish reproduced, and now I have a pretty large colony. These fish used to be in a 75-gallon tank, and I moved them to this 125 to give them some more space. I had not seen any fry for quite a significant amount of time, but thankfully recently I've seen quite a few fry swimming amongst the crypts. The crypts in this tank seem to be doing quite well, despite the fact that the Tropheus seem to like to dump sand on them on a regular basis. This is one of my favorite Tropheus species, where I really like its orange markings alongside the black body. I hope that you enjoyed taking a look at all the Lake Tanganykan Cihclids that I'm keeping here in the fish tank barn. I really enjoyed their bright coloration and unique personalities. If you want to see the rest of the fish that I keep here in the fish tank barn, I'll go ahead and put a link to my last full fish tank barn tour. If you want to learn more about these fish in particular, I'll put a link to a playlist that has a lot of African cichlid care guides, including some of the fish that we saw here. So with that, thank you for watching, stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll catch you on the next video.